Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another World of Darkness news show. This one very much werewolfic. This is a very weird way of saying. I usually say vampiric because we have a lot of Vampire the Masquerade content, but is werewolfic even a word? I don't know, but hey, this is going to work today because we are going to focus a lot of the stream on Werewolf the Apocalypse, specifically on Heart of the Forest, which is the very first video game of Werewolf the Apocalypse genre, which is going to come out. And today we not only have Artur Ganshiniec, who is the writer for the game, as our guest, but we will also share the release date and the new trailer for the game with you. I can't wait to do that. I'm super happy about this, especially because I can't wait for you guys to see the full of this game and to play it myself and show it to you guys in the form of a let's play or streams, as it's really a wonderful story and it's very close to my heart. But we're going to talk a bit more about this during the interview. First of all, let me tell you very quickly about what we're going to cover today, except for werewolves. And we do have some of the post-release news and tidbits and some community stuff coming from people playing Vampire the Masquerade Night Road, so I want to talk about it a little bit as well. And also we have started VTMtober, which is the World of Darkness answer to Inktober or Drawtober, or however you want to call it. Basically the month where we are participating in the art challenge and we're trying to draw as many vampires as we can, because we still have to have some vampires in here, although the focus is going to be on werewolves today. Anyway, we're going to start with the interview, and I cannot wait to dive deep into the puszcza, which is the Polish word for the deep wild forest, with Artur Ganshiniec. Let me say hello to Artur. Hi!
Hello, nice to be here.
I'm super happy to see you here, especially after seeing your face on many dev diaries that you guys published in the past.
Yeah.
What's the difference in between joining the stream and recording a dev diary for you?
Well, in the dev diary, we had the full control over the questions, so I think that would be the difference.
Well, I promise not to be too hard on you in here, although we'll see. We're going to start.
And also, when we were doing the dev diaries in the middle of lockdown, I was the only available, so there's actually quite a big and interesting team like working on the game, so I just happened to be in the right time at the right place.
I see. I would love to ask you a little bit more about your team, but let's start with the most important person today, which is you. Could you tell us a little bit more about you and your background in the gaming industry, and how did you land on a team working on Heart of the Forest?
Well, I've been in the industry for, I think, probably 14 years, and I've started working on the first game of the Witcher franchise. So I worked for CD Projekt Red and ended up as the lead story designer for The Witcher 1, and I worked also on the beginning of The Witcher 2. Then I moved on to do something else. So my background is like heavy story AAA games. Then I worked on mobile games, very small and very casual for 6 years. And like 2 years ago, we've met again with Jacek Brzeziński, who is the partner in my studio, and or in our studio, and we've met working on The Witcher. He was the lead of the studio, the chief of production during the first Witcher. When the first Witcher was produced, and we decided to do something together. We produced an experimental interactive literature / reportage game called Wanderlust Travel Stories, and then we thought that the formula of like expanded modern visual novel is a very like good fundament for foundation for making games. Well, not only like reportage like
Yeah.
but also other games. And then we happened to meet you, like people from Paradox. We started talking, and as we are fans of World of Darkness, like since the 90s, we thought that was the perfect occasion, like to do something together. And we decided to employ the formula that we had from our previous game to the franchise we like, and hence we have Werewolf the Apocalypse Heart of the Forest.
Yeah, I see. I really want to dive a little bit deeper into that deeper formula for visual novels, because I really think that Heart of the Forest embodies it very well. But let me start with another question when it comes to your background. I know something about some dog bite in there, but what was your start with Werewolf the Apocalypse?
yeah, the famous dog bite story. So, I think I was. It was still when I was in high school, and one day a dog bit me. It was a German Shepherd. I thought she was pregnant. She was quite nervous, and she tore my trousers and scratched me a bit. So I had to find the owner to make sure that the dog was vaccinated, and I got some money to buy new trousers because, well, they were torn. But when I came home, I just asked my mom to stitch the trousers, and I used the money to buy my copy of Werewolf the Apocalypse. So like it all started with a dog bite, and for a moment we thought with our friends that maybe it could be a sustainable model of funding RPGs, but no, it was like too much fuss. So that's the true story. I got into Werewolf the Apocalypse because a German Shepherd bite me.
I see. I mean, this is for sure like a very much on theme kind of a story.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And speaking of the theme itself, Werewolf the Apocalypse Heart of the Forest, before we'll dwell deeper into the mechanics of the game and how it actually works in practice, is, I feel from what I've played so far, it's a very, very good introduction to the werewolf, and you got introduced to the whole genre, the IP with the book. How do you want it to, in writing the game, to encapsulate this beginner experience for people who had never experienced Werewolf the Apocalypse before?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when we started, we had some 4 or 5 ideas for a story. And we decided to pick like the idea that would be the best introduction, like to the world and to the setting, because we realized that that was the first werewolf game like since ever. So probably many of the players would be new and interesting in what werewolf is and how it plays. And I think that the key to making this was picking the protagonist, because in the Heart of the Forest, you play as Maya, who's Polish American, and she comes to Poland, like to visit the world of her, the land of her ancestors, maybe to find answers to some questions about her family. But she knows almost nothing about the place and about the supernatural side of the world of darkness, because it's set in the world of darkness.
Yeah,
like
of course.
In this dark, like mirror of our world, and so she has to learn everything. And as she like is pulled into the supernatural, and as she learned about werewolves and about the place, the players can learn along with her. So that's the tool we used. We just set a character who knows nothing, and while introducing Maya to the world and explaining it to Maya, we explained it to the player. And the other thing is that werewolf is, at least that's how we see it, is so full of themes and lore that we had to make a very long and painful selection.
Yes, of course.
And to decide what to show, like not to overwhelm the player, but to show enough for them to understand what's going on, and to to be interested and to want to learn more. So yeah, I hope it worked.
I
But
think
at the same time,
by the
if
way,
you're
I see a little kitty in there, and I love it. I just wanted to say.
yeah, and of course he's barfing. Oh my god.
Oh
Okay, yeah. So that's my cat Cardamom. My cat Cardamom.
This is your wife.
And my lovely wife Joanna, who is also a writer for this game. But yeah.
no! Hello, Joanna. Nice to see you there. Oh,
So yeah, thank you, Cardamom. And yeah, but but if you, what I wanted to say, if you are a player that's already into Werewolf, we hinted many things, and if you know the setting, I think you would have this extra layer of fun in trying to find out or predict what's going to happen. So yeah.
that's awesome. I actually, yeah, that was a really fun little interjection. But it's very interesting for me how games such as Coteries of New York, that from Outlaws of Draw Distance, that you guys are in touch with. So this is awesome to see some cooperation not only on the World of Darkness partner side, but also the Polish developers that are cooperating
Yeah.
together. That sounds great. But both of your games seem to be like this very awesome entry point, but also on the other side, they have a lot of hints for people who played the tabletop, because you guys are tabletop players ultimately.
Yeah.
You've played Werewolf the Apocalypse a lot in the past. So what is your past with role-playing in itself?
Well, as most of role players in Poland, I started with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So D&D was. I almost never played D&D, because in the 90s the default fantasy setting was Warhammer, but then World of Darkness appeared, and that was my favorite for a long time, both for playing and for collecting and reading, because there were some systems that were awesome to read but didn't really click in the groups that we had. But it was something then in the 90s and early 2000s, it was something new, fresh, like something focusing on the inner life of the character, on psychology, on moral dilemmas, and relevant to what happens. Of course, I look different in a different way now at the games now when I'm like 40 something, and different when I was in high school. Like, different things are appealing to me, but the games were and still are relevant in my opinion. So that was I was mostly running the game, so I was mostly the storyteller.
That's
And
awesome.
that's,
That's actually, I really want to continue on that, because this very much fits, I feel, the writing style and the mechanics of Heart the Forest itself, which seems to be a way to play Werewolf the Apocalypse in a role-playing manner without actually having a group and just playing it with you guys, with the writers who serve as the storytellers for the story. That's why also Heart of the Forest has a lot of the mechanics which support this role-playing experience, such as the character sheet, the development of the character through our choices. How does it work, and how did you approach it from the storyteller perspective?
Okay, so I think there are several layers here. The most important is that at least this is our experience, that sometimes when you play as a group at the table, the story itself is usually prepared by the storyteller, but how every scene unfolds and how the character reacts, how they react, this is what we remember. Like, this is where the magic happens. So we wrote the game in such a way that that Maya, that you as a player you have many opportunities to show what you think, how you feel, and also as rage is like one of the pillars of being a werewolf.
Yes.
almost every scene has some variations depending on the level of your rage. If your rage is low, the scene is described in one way. When your rage is high, in a different way. Sometimes this is just a sentence that gives you totally like different feel, and sometimes there are choices that open and close depending on your rage. And because usually when we, at least that's what I noticed, when we are talking about interactive fiction, we are focusing on the choices alone.
Yes.
But the context is also crucial. If I have a choice whether to trust someone or antagonize them, and in the sentence before the choice they are described as someone nice, it's totally different situation when they are described as someone suspicious or angry, and this is what changes depending on your rage. So even if the choices are the same, sometimes like the situation feels differently because Maya is angry or she's calm, and so that's how we do it basically.
I love this. This is like, I didn't actually notice this being a mechanic when I was playing. I mean, I should have noticed that really, because I was trying to play the beginning of the game, the demo that you guys shared in both of the low rage and high rage. And actually, like, now that I realize when I was playing the high rage, Maya was perceiving things in a much more like the fashion in which she saw
black and white.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Oh my God,
yes.
this is so
cool. Because it's not something that we want you to notice. It's something that we want you to feel. Like it should slip under the radar, but it makes every playthrough a bit different.
Yeah. And
apart from that, the story branches, of course, but within every scene there are those little nuances that are depending on your rage or your relation with some character or stuff like this. But rage is the main mechanism, the main system.
That's super cool. And this is actually one of the things that I love about Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, the fact that every choice I make, or, the whole situations which is described by the storyteller, is very much defined by my hunger. So, because when I get hungry, I just react to things differently in Vampire. So it is only logical for me to extend that to playing Werewolf the Apocalypse Heart of the Forest, and actually, my state of rage influencing the way I see the world in a similar way.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
we were actually inspired by the hunger mechanics, and when we talked to the brand team, we decided that this is a good way to think about the rage and how Werewolf works.
Yeah. I'm actually
because we are sort of pointing the way toward the 5th edition of Werewolf, so yeah.
Yeah, we cannot talk about the mechanics of rage in the 5th edition just yet.
Well, I don't know them. I just agreed with you that this analogy to hunger is I think a good one, because it was one of our inspirations.
Yeah, and this works very well in the light of, in general, like World of Darkness, in the way that we really want to make sure that all of the monsters that we play are, we feel that. It's not only like back in the days, you could like consider this a mana pool or just some kind of a dots that you could just fill in and get out of them, but it's actually like really awesome to have this affect our actions in character. So that's really awesome. I'm actually glancing at the chat in here. There's one question which I want to insert from the chat very quickly, whether there's a possibility to play the whole game with low rage.
Yes, I think you can play the game following the path of like the lowest rage. There would be probably some moments when it would be hard or impossible to stay calm, but yes, this is one of the paths that we prepared for the players. So yes.
Awesome. I also have some numbers with me, and the numbers are impressive, let me just say. One of the numbers that I've been given by the Different Tales Studio and the Walkabout Games, which is their publisher, is 200,000 paths which are in the game, and that means 200,000 different ways of actually playing the game, considering all of the choices on the way. How did you manage to put so many in the game?
Well, but some of the differences, numbers can be interpreted in a
Yes.
different. Some of the differences are small. Yeah, they happen within the scenes, as with the rage, and I think that it would be fair to say that we have like maybe 5 main paths through the game, very different at places, and many small decisions, and because they happen chapter after chapter and they are independent one from another, it makes for this huge number of possible like variations or paths through the game. But it's not about a single person playing all those paths, because that would probably be boring. It's more for making sure, it's a tool for making sure that your playthrough would be somehow different from mine.
Yeah.
And even if we end in the same place, we could see different things on the way or perceive them differently. So we focus on preparing a very personal experience for every player, even if they end up somehow in a different in a similar, like, let's say, world state. Like their personal experience would be probably different every time. So,
yeah, just to give an example from the demo itself, which also very, like, it was fascinating for me how much it differed depending on who played it and how many little changes there were. But I remember talking with someone about playing the demo, and I was, did you kiss the guy? Like, what guy? So there was a chance to not meet a certain person that you could kiss in another kind of a path. So that was super fascinating. And I actually want to ask you a little bit more about the setting of Heart the Forest. And of course, this is a very new setting, I guess, for a lot of people playing video games and a lot of people from abroad. Białowieża, which is known to us as Polish people, and it's the setting which you introduce players into through Maya. You also had the chance to be a writer for Witcher franchise, which also contains a lot of the Polish or Slavic folklore. This is like, for me, it's super awesome that you guys are working on the representation of our culture in the video game industry. Do you feel like you want to, get a little bit of the Polish culture in your works and some of our folklore or legends? How do you approach it from the Polish perspective?
Okay, so there are, I think, 3 main reasons why we chose Białowieża as our setting. The first is that we really wanted to add, like, or accent the word in World of Darkness.
Yes.
Like that is because most of my sessions, even when I was a storyteller, happened either in this like mythical pop culture America that doesn't really exist because we just know the place from the movies, or somewhere in Western Europe because there were source books depicting London or stuff like this. But sooner or later we started running the games in the areas we knew, and I thought that this is one of the things that games allow us to do, like to see other places. So we wanted to add some like new locations, like, to the World of Darkness. The other reason is that Białowieża is a fascinating place. It's a primordial forest, one of the last in Europe. Let's say untouched for thousands of years, at least parts of it. So it's on some, and it's being logged, and it's an ecosystem that's that tries to survive in a modern setting, like in a modern country. So there are some similarities to what happens in Amazonia, for example.
Yes.
But on a smaller scale and in a different place and in a different environment. So the trees look, it's not a rainforest, but a European forest. But the themes are the same, and they are perfect for werewolves, like this primordial forest and those huge harvesters that can cut down a tree in 20 seconds and like erase 200 years of history, like turning them in a pile of planks.
Yeah.
And it happens, it's very like dehumanized, mechanized. So it's like two fronts, and it almost begs to put werewolves in the middle, like, so they could rage and like try to defend Gaia and rip off some heads, you know. And
Sure.
and the third reason is that we like to make games that are relevant, games that tell something about the world as it is today. And so it happens that there were some protests against logging that was happening in Białowieża in 2016 and 17, and it was a big thing, very complicated like situation, both legally and from the environmental perspective and from economical perspective. And the European Court of Justice was involved, so it was a huge thing, and an interesting situation. And we used it as a very like indirect inspiration for the game, because as far as I know, there were no werewolves involved in the protest, like humans managed on their own. Who knows? But using werewolves as sort of metaphor, we could very clearly show the situation and explain what happened, and just use it to tell a true story.
Sure, and
fictional but true.
I want to give you kudos about that, because I think I can admit I played a little bit more of the game, and I really, really liked from a Polish perspective how, even though the game was of course written, before it's a project in the making, but it still stays super relevant when it comes to the different opinions that people in the game have about their country, about what they try to tell Maya, who is an outsider, and the vision that they have of how they see the world around them. I feel like it's super up to date with how the situation looks in Poland. So thank you so much for including that. I feel like it's really well shown. So I actually want to go back a little bit to like just remind you of maybe something that I'm not really sure if you want me to put in there, but you did write a slow gaming manifesto back in the days, didn't you?
Yeah, that was when we were working on Wanderlust, and we were talking a lot with Jacek and with other game developers about how we see games, what we want from games, and then I just sat down and wrote down what we talked about, and the idea is that like the older we are, like our needs change, I think, and games that were fun when we were younger are not so fun anymore. We are looking for something else, like for less reflexes and more reflections.
Sure. I want to very quickly quote the parts of your slow gaming manifesto, because when I read it, I felt like it's very strikes a lot of the strings I felt when I played Heart of the Forest. So just to give people a bigger understanding of this, I want games that treat me as an adult, someone capable of thinking, feeling, and understanding. I want games that connect with me not as toys but as tales. I want games that challenge not my skills and reflexes but my assumptions and feelings. I want games that encourage me to take a break and come back later. I want games that let me experience them at my own pace. I want games that give me space to grow. And I want games that are slow. How do you think this works with Heart of the Forest?
Well, I think it might be perceived as a paradox making a game about raging monsters that rip heads off, but at the same time, I think we are close to those ideas we have because we tell a story that is grounded in reality. We focus a lot on what the character feels, and I think at least we try not to like serve players the morale of the story, but to present questions. Just show how the situation is, show how we think what the consequences of character the protagonist actions would be, but we try to keep it open, like to trust the player that they will reach their own conclusions, and they may agree with us or not, but we just wanted to show a story, a situation, and leave the rest to the players, because I think that games are a very mature medium now. It's not like 20 years ago, and it's obvious to all of us that books can show us how the world works, that we can learn from books, that we can grow watching movies. It's obvious for us, and I think that games can do the same, even if they are still like an entertainment product, because we want to make things that are entertaining, but at the same time I think there is space for them like to educate and to give us occasion to reflect, and we are trying to do that. If we are successful, it's not up to us to decide. It's like up to you, to the players, but that's what we try to do.
That's awesome. And actually, I want to lead on, because that was, very much, I feel like a question in the comfort zone. This is something that you seem to have a wonderful grasp on. I want to lead on to a little bit more difficult question, because we need to very much be careful on not stepping on the spoiler grounds. But I have another number, which is 5, and that is a number of endings to Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. What was your approach to designing the endings of the game to make sure that it fulfills the player experience? Without the spoilers, of course.
Okay. Well, I think it was something like this, that we started with looking at how the situation resolved in the real world. Then we thought how different it may be if werewolves were involved. And it gave us a spectrum to work on. And then just working on the story and on the characters and on the events, like we found 5 interesting points on the spectrum, and the game can end with like in the situation can resolve both personally for Maya and like in the wider scope in 5 different ways. Like but these are like endings that there's no one clear path leading to every of the endings. They just like the whole game. We look at the total of your choices, and like something stems from them.
I see. So yeah, we have 5 endings, 200,000 different combinations that we can play the stories at. So very possible that every player is going to play a kind of a little bit of a different version of Maya's story, which is super fascinating. I want to give you super huge kudos for the writing on this game, because so far, I think like we've all seen in the demo, it's super, super awesome, and it's going to only grow as we see the full game. So I cannot wait for that, and I feel like our watchers cannot wait to get to know the release date of the game. So I'm going to lead them slowly to the trailer, which is going to reveal that date. And for you, Arthur, thank you so much for joining us today. I will be talking a little bit more about the Heart of the Forest after the trailer. And yeah, I hope to hear from you soon.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye. And can we roll in the trailer? It's not the trailer. That is October 13th, guys. It's in less than 2 weeks. It's actually the Tuesday, not the next one, but the next one. So that's super, super close date for Heart of the Forest to release. And I also have a bunch of other information for you guys about the release itself, and where it's going to be available, for how much, and how you can even make it cheaper, because it's not going to be pricey in general, but there are some really cool offers that developers from different Tales and Walkabout games have prepared for us. So it's going to be available on PC, Mac, and Linux through Steam, GOG.com, and GeForce Now. It's going to cost $14.99. That's $15 without a cent. And there's a special 10% discount for the first 7 days. And additionally, there's going to be a bundle. So if you already own Coteries of New York and Shadows of New York, you can go down to minus 25% of the price. So that's a really cool offer. So if you are already an owner of these two games, it's going to be like a complete set bundle. And it's going to be available even cheaper. But yeah, the first 7 days, for sure you have a 10% discount if you don't own Coteries and Shadows, and the bigger one if you own them. 200,000 paths, which is crazy. I'm so happy that they've put so much, and I've been playing this game extensively and, testing it on my end, and I was surprised how, it's very, like, often in testing visual novels that when you go through various branches and paths, there might be some moments where, like, this doesn't fit the situation, or, this didn't acknowledge the fact they did something in the past. Haven't seen any of that in Heart of the Forest so far. I was super, super happy with how coherent the whole story was, and how my choices were leading me straight to what I expected would happen, or sometimes what I didn't, but I was very positively surprised. And yeah, so basically Steam, GOG, GeForce Now, PC, Mac, Linux, and it's going to be available for $15 without a cent. So yeah, 13th of October. I'm super, super happy to announce that the release date is so soon, and please let us know what are going to be your first opinions of the game after you will play it. The demo is available, of course, but you can also wishlist the game on Steam, and I would really like like to ask you guys after you, if you want the game, if you will purchase it, leave the review for the developers. The reviews given in the very first days after release are super important for, the Steam algorithms and all that stuff, and you can really help the game become more visible if you wishlist it now and later on give the review. So thank you so much to Artur Genshinitz for joining us today and sharing so much information. If you guys want more information about Heart of the Forest, I recommend checking the Walkabout Games YouTube channel. There are dev diaries in there in which they publish information about the various parts of development. The latest dev diary, which was shared just yesterday, was talking about the visual side of the game. So that's something that might interest you if you want to get to know on why this particular very original style for the graphics was picked for Heart of the Forest. So yeah, we are looking forward to the next World of Darkness release. We had plenty of them recently, I know. Shadows, then Night Road, then Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. There is plenty of World of Darkness games to play now, and I hope that our libraries are going to only grow. So, speaking of Night Road, by the way, let me skip very quickly to some vampires and talk a bit more about Night Road, which is celebrating a week from its release right now, I believe. We had Kyle Marquis on the stream last week. If you missed it, we uploaded it on YouTube. It's a very extensive interview with him in which he's talking about the various ways in which he approached the development of the game, the characters, the development of the prince and of his mates in the game. Some of the characters which I've seen people from the community really grow much fond of. I've seen a lot of fun arts of Julian and Leto so far. So yeah, Night Road is doing super well when it comes to the sales for Choice of Games, and it's doing well enough that Choice of Games is commissioning more portrait art to be done for the characters in the game. And if you wish to decide, if you played Night Road and you want to have an impact on which portraits are going to be done, you can head over to Choice of Games forum to pick your favorites. And there's a poll in there which is going to result in the new artworks made for the game. This is of course the text-based game in which the artworks were something completely extra added to give you guys a better glimpse on the characters. And yeah, they want to have more of them. So we're going to look forward to how other characters from Night Road look like. Also, I want to give very big thanks to Kyle Marquis for being very much, up on the social media game and everywhere, just making sure to gather all your feedback. He is fixing all little bugs in the game that you guys find and submit to Choice of Games. And also, he has been adding some accessibility features. Apparently, from what we've heard from the gamers, the game is very much accessible in the text-to-speech format right now. There were some changes done to the character screen to make sure that this is even easier. So thank you, Kyle, for adding these options to the game. It really means a lot, and we are very happy to see feedback and to see Kyle acting super quickly to make sure that this is all fixed in the game. Also, very big thanks to the community for the fan arts of this game, which is really, for me especially, as much as, I had some vision in my head when I was playing Night Road and thinking on how people could look like. Of course, the portraits also exist out there, but I feel like the fan arts that people were sharing really gave a lot of the visual sphere to the experience. And I found a lot of the wonderful things on Tumblr and on Instagram. So thank you so much, guys, for sharing these. One of the things I want to share, which really surprised me very positively, I didn't know that this crossover can happen, but there's one Tumblr user who actually recreated scenes from Night Road in The Sims 4. And the user is called Meg Hewlett, and she shared the wonderful scene with Julian, the Banu Hakim, on the car. And there are more pictures on her Tumblr. You guys can head out in there and check it out. It looks really awesome. So yeah, the recreation of Night Road in The Sims 4, that's what I need. I didn't know I need that, but I do need that. So yeah, now I actually want to, maybe play some Sims 4 and do my own recreations of World of Darkness, because why not? And speaking of artworks and speaking of the creativity of the community, I decided, this is something that I always want to do every single year. Not always I manage to actually fulfill this myself, because it's a lot of work and a lot of self-development that needs to be involved in there. But this year couldn't be any different. We joined with the Drawtober/Inktober mania, creating the prompt list for hashtag VTMtober. To give you a little bit of a background on what is Inktober/Drawtober. It's the month-long challenge, and there are multiple challenges online which are following the same kind of theme, in which you pick your own medium. Some of the Drawtobers have, very specific medium, like Inktober is mostly about the inked drawings, but we don't really, we weren't really picky with the VTMtober. You can pick any you want, and if you have time and willing, every single day you're making a small little drawing which is based on the daily theme. So for example, today's theme is the first day of October is your OC, which is your original character. And you can start to join the VTMtober by drawing, painting, sketching, or even writing, or making the photography, which is going to represent your original vampire character. And as you do that, you can share it on social media using the hashtag VTMtober. If you share it on Twitter or Instagram this way, or on TikTok if you want to, we will actually be able to see that both as World of Darkness and as the community. I've been browsing the VTMtober hashtag on Instagram today. There are so many wonderful artworks there already. And you can also join our Discord channel, in which we have a little support group for this event. I want to get inspired to get through this challenge myself and make sure that I draw every single day. And there is a new category which we opened there called ongoing events, and there is a VTMtober channel there in which we specifically exchange tutorials, tips, opinions, and the sketches of our works. If you want to join our Discord, it's discord.gg/World of Darkness. If you want to get the prompt list that is available in here, you can go to our social media or to our website. And additionally, on our website, worldofdarkness.com, we shared the article in which all of these terms, which you can see in here, are explained in a very simple form. So if you, for example, don't really remember what Golconda means or what the specific clan is about, I've given you a little short descriptions on what each of these represent to help you with the drawings. So that's a kind of like an entry point if you want to join the action. I just, this is something for me. I've been drawing a lot in the past, and I kind of am slacking with it nowadays. I don't really draw that much. So events like this really push me towards doing something and developing my own skills while also doing something super fun. So I've seen people who share the same sentiment around the social media, on Discord, and I'm very happy that we can join together and do something fun as the community with this prompt. So additionally, of course, there were questions whether the writers can join this, or photographers, or people who are working with other mediums. Absolutely. Feel free to join, tag your creations with VTMtober so they're easier to find for the visibility, and join our Discord if you want to exchange your opinions or your creations for VTMtober. So yeah, guys, that will be all for today. I'm super happy that we are not only releasing yet another game soon, but also doing all of these cool things with the community. And if you want to join our Discord without even wanting to draw in the VTMtober or take participation in it, feel free to just chat and have fun with us there. We are spending a lot of time in there as a community, chatting about all of the things Vampire the Masquerade related, chatting about the upcoming games or hopes and dreams for them. So this is something that we love to read. So feel invited to join on the hype. And of course, Heart of the Forest releasing on the 13th of October, and please go follow Different Tales, who are posting a lot of the awesome things before the release on their social media. They are very much interactive when it comes to the fun questions. So if you have any questions for them, you can either ask them on our Discord or go to Different Tales Twitter and just type it there. They will be on the on the air replying to your messages. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. That was an exciting episode and a lot of awoos happening in here. Hopefully this is going to satisfy the wolves out there in the forests and give us vampires a little bit of a break. And see you guys next time. I hope you won't get lost in the night. And yeah, draw on.